was a rector, a leader, a professor, and he got to teach some of the more difficult classes to keep students' attention. Revelation, ecclesiology, Christology, but I always found ways of making it approachable. In fact, I was able, among my brother's things, I could tell from his collection of books, the ones that he used and the ones that were kind of in the back. But there was a little book among his more frequently used collections. It was a book published in 1983. It happened to be Monsignor Macary's dissertation from the Gregorian University, written with Jerry O'Collins, the Australian Jesuit. He wrote, "The act of faith involves knowledge, which comes about as a result of love. The certainty of faith results not from the evidence of seeing, but in the assent to a person who sees. Credibility is attributable to an object, but to not to an object, but to the manifestation of a person." Monsignor Macary always found ways of teaching us in class of taking what might seem to be some kind of high-minded theological thought coming from an ivory tower and applying it to everyday life. In fact, as rector, he led us in spiritual conferences, and he had us read a book that was written by a Dermot Power, a priest from Ireland. It was called The Spiritual Theology of the Priesthood. And after reading one chapter at a time, we'd be gathered in one of the classrooms, and he would go over the most important salient points of this. One of which, we had all been taught many times, the famous line from Gaudium et Spes, "Christ reveals man to himself." Now, it sounds very nice, but in reality, how does that apply to us, especially as called to the priesthood? Well, in that book, a spot that Monsignor Macary highlighted was a quote from von Balthasar, and he wrote this: "Simon the fisherman, before his meeting with Christ, however thoroughly he might have searched within himself, could not possibly have found a trace of Peter. Yet the form of Peter, the particular mission reserved for him alone, which till then lay hid in the secret of Christ's soul, and at that moment of encounter was delivered over to Simon." A great practical thought, that here's Christ reveals man to himself, and here we were as seminarians encountering the same Lord, telling us who we were, even though we would not have found that ourselves. Monsignor Macary was a great leader, a great preacher, and a great teacher. And I remember being here for a dinner a number of years ago when his portrait was revealed here in this refectory. And when he explained how that picture came about, he mentioned that they narrowed it down to just a few particular shots. And if I remember the story correctly, the photographer said, "In this one, you look like a general. In this one, you look like a priest." And that's how we always saw Monsignor Macary, and how I think we all see Monsignor Macary, above all, not just as a rector, a professor, a teacher, and a guide, but most of all, a holy priest of Jesus Christ. Thank you and congratulations, Monsignor Macary.